Teen mom alum Rachel Beaver is jumping on the bandwagon and slamming Amber Portwood's parenting. Amber recently called her daughter, Leah, inappropriate names on the next chapter, and it was received horribly. Now, Rachel has a message for the mother of two, and she is not holding back. Keep reading to see what she said. Rachel Beaver is the latest teen mom star to slam Amber Portwood's parenting. In the Thursday, June 6th episode of the next chapter, it was Amber's daughter, Leah's 15th birthday. Amber met up with her ex, Gary Shirley, his wife, Christina, and the birthday girl, Leah. She was late to the birthday party as she has a habit of never being on time. Once she arrived, she was rude to Leah and went so far as to call her AD*CK. More so, Amber was also very excited to share that she had a new boyfriend, named Gary. She was not happy that this was completely overlooked. Additionally, Amber was frustrated that Gary was on a schedule, but Leah had homework to do. After this episode aired, Amber's co-stars were livid with how she spoke to Leah and that Gary tolerated this. Brianna De Jesus spoke out, as did Janelle Evans, who just returned to the franchise. Furthermore, Rachel Beaver spoke out and she was not happy. She noted how poorly Amber treats Leah and how she makes everything about her. Moreover, she pointed out how hard Leah tries to have a relationship with Amber. Yet, Amber just treats her like garbage and calls her names. This made it to a Reddit thread where the OP wrote this. So, did other teen mom fans agree with what Rachel had to say? Rachel Beaver as the voice of reason was not something I expected. I'm waiting on the meltdown live that Amber usually does after being called out. Amber can't argue with any of this. It seemed that, although many teen mom fans agreed with Rachel Beaver, they never expected her to be the voice of reason. Ultimately, they had to concur with her full assessment, and some wanted her back on the show. More so, one person noted they would rather have Rachel than Mackenzie McKee. Yet, when Janelle Evans chimed in about Amber's behavior, fans said she was the last person to talk. However, the general consensus is that the way Amber spoke to Leah was absolutely despicable. Furthermore, there is no excuse for that kind of behavior. Do you think Rachel's statement was on point? Finally, would you like to see her return to television? Let us know and watch Teen Mom. The already turbulent waters of the Teen Mom franchise have been churned into a perfect storm of criticism, with former cast member Rachel Beaver adding her voice to a growing chorus condemning Amber Portwood's recent and widely criticized behavior toward her 15-year-old daughter, Leah. The incident, which aired on the June 6th episode of Teen Mom, the next chapter, has ignited a firestorm across social media and fan forums, raising not only questions about Portwood's parenting, but also about the ethics of broadcasting such fraught dynamics. The episode, meant to celebrate Leah's milestone birthday, instead unfolded as a masterclass in maternal dysfunction. Amber arrived late, a habitual practice that frames her daughter's time as disposable, to a meeting with her ex, Gary Shirley, his wife Christina, and the birthday girl herself. What followed was not a celebration, but a display of profound self-absorption and verbal abuse. Frustrated that the focus was not on her announcement of a new boyfriend, also named Gary, Amber turned her ire on Leah, resorting to calling her own child a D*CK. She further exhibited a stunning lack of empathy, expressing frustration over Gary's schedule and Leah's homework obligations, as if her daughter's responsibilities were a personal inconvenience. The backlash was swift and came from within the Teen Mom family itself. Brianna De Jesus and the controversial Janelle Evans publicly expressed their fury, not only at Amber's conduct, but at Gary and Christina for what some perceived as tolerating the behavior to maintain a fragile peace. But it was the intervention of Rachel Beaver, a figure often on the periphery of the franchise's central drama, that provided a particularly resonant and scalding critique. Beaver, in a social media post that quickly went viral, did not mince words. She meticulously dissected the toxic pattern on display. She noted how poorly Amber treats Leah and how she makes everything about her. Moreover, she pointed out how hard Leah tries to have a relationship with Amber. Yet, Amber just treats her like garbage and calls her names. This analysis struck a chord because it moved beyond simple outrage to articulate the core injustice of the relationship, the immense, unreciprocated emotional labor demanded of the child. Beaver's commentary highlighted the painful dynamic where Leah, the child, is forced into the role of the understanding adult, continually reaching out across a chasm of neglect and hostility, only to be met with cruelty and narcissistic rage. The public's reaction, particularly on platforms like Reddit, revealed a fascinating consensus. Under threads with titles expressing shock at Rachel Beaver as the voice of reason, fans largely agreed with her damning assessment. Comments like, "Amber can't argue with any of this," and observations that her statement was on point, flooded the forums. The discussion expanded into a meta-commentary on the franchise itself, with some fans advocating for Beaver's return to television over other cast members, citing her clear-eyed perspective. The intervention from Jonelle Evans, however, was widely dismissed due to her own extensively documented history of problematic parenting, underscoring the public's ability to parse credibility even within this controversial group. This incident forces an uncomfortable but necessary examination of several critical issues. First and foremost is the cycle of trauma. Amber Portwood is a survivor of her own profoundly difficult upbringing, a story audiences have witnessed in real time. Her struggles with mental health, substance abuse, and incarceration are part of the franchise's lore. There is a palpable tragedy in seeing someone who endured so much struggle to provide the stability she never had. However, as Beaver's critique implies, explaining behavior is not the same as excusing it. The central tragedy now is the real-time inheritance of that trauma by Leah, who is subjected to public humiliation and emotional abandonment by the very person meant to protect her. Secondly, it raises serious ethical questions about the franchise's role. Teen Mom was originally conceived as a cautionary tale about teen pregnancy. Now, over a decade later, it documents the complex, often damaging, long-term effects of those early choices on a second generation. While the show provides a platform and an income for these families, it also commodifies their pain and, in cases like Amber's, may inadvertently enable bad behavior by ensuring continued relevance and a paycheck regardless of conduct. The cameras capture the outbursts, but who is responsible for mitigating the fallout for Leah, who did not choose this life? The scene was not just a private argument, it was packaged entertainment, amplifying Leah's humiliation to millions. Finally, Beaver's decision to speak out signifies a shift in accountability. For years, Amber Portwood has operated within the franchise with a certain impunity, her mama bear persona and mental health struggles often used as a shield against criticism. The fact that her peers, women who understand the unique pressures of this life, are now publicly and unanimously calling her out suggests that a line has been irrevocably crossed. This is no longer about typical reality TV feuds, it is a collective judgment on behavior deemed harmful to a child. It represents a moment where the culture of the show's cast is attempting to self-police, asserting that some actions are beyond the pale, even within their own chaotic universe. The question now is what comes next. Fan sentiment is clear, they find Amber's behavior despicable and see no excuse for it. Will this public and internal shaming lead to genuine introspection and change for Amber, or will it trigger the defensive meltdown live that Reddit users predicted? More importantly, what safeguards, if any, will MTV consider implementing to protect minor children like Leah from being used as fodder in storylines centered on their parents' failures?